You know, some kids collected baseball cards. This kid collected worms. Go Eat Worms, Goosebumps Book number 21, released in 1994. This is probably the grossest Goosebumps book up to this point. If worms make your skin crawl, you're gonna hate this one. Todd absolutely loves worms. He collects them, carries them around, and uses them to prank everybody, especially his sister Regina. But after one too many pranks, strange things start happening. Worms begin showing up. Everywhere Todd goes, mysterious tremors shake beneath him. It starts to seem like the worms have a mind of their own. As Todd tries to figure out what's happening, he realizes maybe he's pushed his creepy little hobby a little bit too far. Now, this cover is gross, and I mean that as a compliment. Instead of some giant monster or haunted house, Tim took something completely ordinary, a school notebook, and somehow made it unsettling. You've got worms crawling all over the notebook, during what looks like math homework. Some of them are just slithering around, but then one is busting through the middle, which is disgusting. It's like tunneling right through it. Such a simple image, but instantly grabs you right away. I also love the color choices. The bright blue background makes those purple worms really pop, and the yellow notebook paper keeps your eyes focused on the middle of the chaos. That's classic Goosebumps. It's cheesy, it's fun, and it tells you exactly what kind of book you're about to read. This cover doesn't rely on a giant monster or a haunted mansion. It takes something that every kid has sitting on their desk and turns it into nightmare fuel. Tim really had talent for making everyday things feel creepy, and he absolutely nailed it with this one. Homework was never this gross before. I've seen some pretty nasty homework. Spoiler warning, you have been warned. After collecting even more worms, Todd and Danny experience another earthquake. Suddenly, the ground splits open, and a gigantic worm, literally the size of a tree, bursts out. Todd realizes this isn't just any other worm. It's the mother of the worms. The worms that he's been cutting in half, and now she's looking for revenge. The giant worm grabs Todd and drags him underground until Regina and Beth happen to be coming by with a giant papier-mâché robin from the science fair. The giant worm mistakes it for a real bird and flees, saving Todd's life. Todd finally decides his dad was right and dumps all the worms into the garden. A few weeks later, Todd has found a new hobby, collecting butterflies. But on the final page, he looks up and sees a gigantic butterfly flying towards him, holding a giant silver pin. Well, I think Todd's about to have even more problems. So let me get this straight. Your favorite hobby is collecting worms. Todd, there are literally thousands of better hobbies. Collect baseball cards, collect comic books, collect literally anything else. Also, this dude cuts worms in half and somehow acts surprised when they want revenge. Buddy, I don't think you're the victim here. Also, can we talk about Regina? She spends half the book messing with Todd. Honestly, these two deserve each other. So unlike the book, the TV episode cuts out the entire science fair storyline, so Patrick McKay never appears. Todd's dad is also removed, along with the abandoned house prank, the scary dog, and Danny's sleepover. The episode adds a funny scene where Danny finds worms in his spaghetti and blames Todd. Ironically, the original book's back cover mentions worms showing up in Todd's spaghetti, even though that never actually happens in the story. The biggest change is the ending. Instead of Todd giving up the worms to collect butterflies and being chased by a giant butterfly with a pin, the episode has Todd taking up fishing. After swallowing a fish hook hidden on his sandwich, he's dragged into the lake by the fish before promising he'll leave them alone, and he begs for his life, basically. Personally, I prefer the book's ending. The giant butterfly is just way more memorable and feels more like a classic Goosebumps ending. So growing up, this is actually a really big Goosebumps book for me. I remember taking this one to school one time, and I kept it tucked inside my binder, and whenever I had some free time, I'd pull it out and I'd read a few pages here and there. I think that one of the reasons I loved this cover so much as a kid was I thought the whole story was going to be about worms destroying this guy's homework, which it's not really what it's about, but the image just kind of grabbed me, you know? And I always thought the worms looked more like gummy worms than actual earthworms. You know, real worms are actually kind of grayish brown. These are kind of a bright color purple, almost like a gummy candy or fishing bait. It gave the cover this weird, almost cartoonish look. I also loved the yellow notebook paper. It looked like one of those old school legal pads or notebooks that you'd use in class. And it made the whole thing feel like this disgusting surprise waiting on your desk. I remember getting this one at the book fair, and I was so excited to read it, just because of the cover alone. It became one of my favorite books to look at. I honestly would sit there and stare at it all the time, trying to find any details I could. And I remember all my buddies thinking this was absolutely disgusting. Well, it was covered in worms. Good times, right? Overall, I do remember reading this book when I was a kid, and it was definitely a good experience growing up. Well, thanks for watching, and remember, if worms start looking back at you, you've already lost. Next episode, we're heading to Ghost Beach, where it starts off as a relaxing summer and turns into one of the creepiest ghost stories of the entire Goosebumps series. See you then.